Some people spend their entire lives feeling like they were meant for more. More intelligence, more success, more confidence, more impact. But something strange happens. Year after year, their potential slowly disappears. Not because they are stupid, not because they are untalented, but because invisible psychological traps quietly control the way they think, the way they act, and eventually, the way they live. And the scary part is, most people never even realize it's happening. In this video, we are going to break down the hidden psychological patterns that silently stop people from reaching their true potential. From comfort addiction, to fear of judgment, to the environments that slowly kill ambition. You'll see how small mental habits quietly shape an entire life. And once you understand these patterns, you start seeing why some people stay average forever, while others completely transform themselves. The trap that feels safe. Human beings naturally move toward comfort. It feels safe, predictable, emotionally relaxing. And at first, there is nothing wrong with that. But comfort becomes dangerous when it slowly replaces growth, because the brain starts avoiding anything difficult, anything uncertain, anything uncomfortable, a difficult conversation, a new opportunity, a big risk, a bigger goal. The mind quietly says, maybe later. And slowly, a person begins building a life designed around emotional safety instead of potential. That is how dreams slowly disappear, not through one massive failure, but through hundreds of comfortable decisions, repeated for years. The dangerous part is, comfort rarely looks dangerous. It feels normal. That's why so many people never realize they are trapped inside it. Growth always demands a price. Discomfort, uncertainty, embarrassment, temporary struggle. And most people unconsciously decide that emotional comfort is more important than becoming who they could have been. The invisible identity problem. Many people are far more capable than they think. But deep inside, their self-image is weak. And human beings almost always act according to the identity they believe about themselves. If someone secretly believes they are average, their decisions become average. Their standards become average. Their behavior becomes average. Even when talent exists. You can see this everywhere. A smart student who never speaks confidently. A creative person who never shares their ideas. Someone with massive potential, constantly doubting themselves. Not because they lack ability, but because internally, they never truly saw themselves as someone capable of greatness. The mind protects the identity it is familiar with, even if that identity is limiting, which means many people are not fighting the reality. They are fighting the version of themselves they accepted years ago. The prison built by other people. One of the biggest psychological prisons in the world is the fear of judgment. Many people are not controlled by failure. They are controlled by imagined opinions. What will people think? What if I embarrass myself? What if I look stupid? And without realizing it, their entire life becomes a performance for other people. Talented people stay silent. Creative people never create. Ambitious people shrink themselves just to avoid criticism. But the strange thing about human psychology is this. People are usually too focused on their own lives to think, not about yours as much as you imagine. Yet millions of people sacrifice their potential because of invisible social fear. And over time, fear slowly trains the brain to play small, safe, quiet, invisible. That is how potential dies. Not loudly, but silently. The short-term mindset crisis. The human brain naturally seeks immediate rewards, immediate pleasure, immediate comfort, immediate emotional relief. But potential is built through long-term thinking. And this is where most people lose. Because short-term emotions often control long-term decisions. A person avoids learning because it feels difficult now. Avoids discipline because comfort feels better now. Avoids patience because results are not immediate. And slowly, years disappear. The dangerous thing about wasted potential is that it usually feels harmless in the moment. One lazy day feels small. One distraction feels small. One delay feels small. But repeated over years, small decisions become an entire life. Potential works like compound interest. Tiny actions repeated consistently create massive future differences. But most people only notice the consequences when too much time has already passed. Where your mental energy actually goes. Most people are not physically exhausted. They are mentally fragmented. Their energy is constantly being pulled in different directions. Stress, comparison, overthinking, drama, emotional chaos. The human brain performs best when it has clarity. But modern life constantly overloads attention. And eventually, people lose the ability to think deeply, to focus clearly, to stay emotionally stable. A distracted mind struggles to build a meaningful life. Because energy is one of the most valuable psychological resources a human being has. Where your attention goes, your life slowly follows. And many people unknowingly waste their mental energy on things that add nothing to their future. The environment that quietly shrinks you. Human beings adapt to their environment faster than they realize. The standards around you slowly become your standards. The mindset around you slowly becomes your mindset. If a person spends years surrounded by people with no ambition, no discipline, no vision, no growth, their own ambition slowly weakens. Not instantly, but gradually, because the human brain constantly normalizes repeated environments. Average thinking becomes contagious. Low standards become comfortable. And eventually, a person who once wanted more begins settling for less. This is why environment matters so much. Because people do not only absorb information from the world around them, they absorb identity. The tragedy of never knowing yourself. Some people spend their entire lives chasing goals that were never truly theirs. Copied dreams, copied lifestyles, copied definitions of success. They follow paths they never deeply questioned. And because of that, they never truly discover who they are, what they value, what they are naturally gifted at, or what kind of life actually gives them meaning. This is one of the saddest psychological realities of human life. A person can spend decades climbing the wrong mountain, only to realize they were never connected to it in the first place. Some people never fail at their real dream because they never discover what their real dream actually was. And without self-awareness, potential remains hidden forever. Let me reassure, potential does not disappear overnight. It fades slowly through comfort, fear, distraction, weak identity, wrong environments, and years of unconscious decisions. And the truth is, most people will never fully realize what they were capable of becoming, not because greatness was impossible for them, but because they slowly became a smaller version of themselves. The good news is, awareness changes everything, because once a person starts recognizing these psychological patterns, they stop living unconsciously. And that is where real transformation begins.